How to clean up acrylic paint. This is art at BCHS with Madame Dafoe. When cleaning up shared art supplies, here are our goals. We want to create less waste and make our materials go further, so that our supplies last longer and there's more for everyone. When you clean your supplies, they should then be ready for use by the next person. Your paint palette should have no paint on it whatsoever when you're done. You can try to save the paint on your palette for the next day. Mist the wet paint on your palette with a bit of water. Then cover the entire palette with plastic wrap. If there's any gaps, it'll dry out. All done, then it's time to use a brown paper towel to wipe off any excess wet paint and put that into the garbage. Avoid sending paint down the drain as much as possible. Then put your palette into a soapy bin and scrub well. Take all the paint off. Use the bin as much as you can instead of running the tap. We don't want to waste water. And even when the water is colored, it still works to clean because afterwards you're going to rinse it on both sides. And finally, place it on the drying rack. Now let's look at cleaning brushes with acrylic paint. Use small jugs that have some soap in them and water, about halfway, and then this spiral film developing thing with the grooves. Start by wiping off any leftover wet paint and put that into the garbage. Glide and swish the bristles against the grooves inside the container to help remove as much paint as you can. Soap really helps to remove acrylic paint, so don't be shy. If there's dried paint or the bristles are stiff, or there's really a problem area, you can use this little brush that I have to help comb out that stuff. Always comb from the ferrule, the metal part, out to the tips of the bristles. Use your fingers to make sure you really got all the paint out from between the bristles, and then rinse it really well so that the water runs clear and it's ready to use by the next person. You can pat them dry with our drying cloth if you want, but there's no need. Instead, always put them handle down, never bristles down, into the drying rack for them to air dry. Now, our water containers also need a little bit of love and care, so let's not forget about those. Dump out the dirty water, of course. Put the container in the soapy bin and scrub it really well, both the inside and the outside, please. Once it's so clean you could almost drink from it, it's time to rinse it and then bring it over to the drying rack. When you place it on the drying rack, please put it upside down so that any water will drip out and dry off. Thanks. Let's not forget about our workspace. After all, someone else will work on that table next. Start by grabbing the scraper to remove any kind of dried paint or other materials that are stuck on the surface. Do the best you can. Next, grab one of our washing cloths and use the soapy water bin and wring it to get it ready. Don't put too much soap on it from the dispenser, otherwise it's extra work for you to remove it from the table. Go over to the table and scrub and wipe really well. As we know, soap helps get rid of acrylic paint, so just give it a few moments and it'll all come up. Then rinse the debris from the cloth and wring it really, really well. Then lay it flat to dry, please. Don't leave it in a bunch where it'll get moldy and stinky gross. You can then use one of our drying cloths for a final little wipe and dry of your work area. When you're done with the cloth, please be so nice as to hang it nicely so it'll air dry. Thanks! I also made a video about cleaning up watercolor, so check it out. Thanks!